What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my prediction and breakdown for Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland on the UFC 302 card. So first up, I'm going to go over the strengths of Paulo Costa. So his first strength is he's strong and jacket. He's athletic, basically, in other words. He's also on the secret juice, 100% on steroids. Nothing you can tell me to convince me otherwise. He has good body and head kicks. Surprisingly, that's kind of one of his main skills. And he also has a strong pressure style and good boxing combos, especially up against the fence. And that's kind of how he finishes most people when he does finish people, which actually isn't as often as you would think. And he is staying active. It's not been too long since his last fight with Whitaker, and he did look good in that fight. It was probably his best performance in years, and that gives people more confidence in considering him a high-level fighter. As for his weaknesses, his cardio is questionable, and his power is overhyped. He needs to land long combos to get finishes, and he does have a weak resume. His most recent win is Luke Rockhold, and before that, maybe his best win is Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall. None of those guys are in the UFC anymore, so it doesn't really say much about him. And he does have a short reach. He has T-Rex arms for his height, and he doesn't really have long legs either. And he doesn't really have a good ability to mix the fight up. Early in the career, he was more of a wrestler, like way back on The Ultimate Fighter. If you ever want to see something funny, watch his fight on The Ultimate Fighter Brazil. It did not look good. But nowadays, he doesn't really mix it up at all. He doesn't really implement grappling. And sometimes he gets frustrated in the cage. Sometimes he gets emotional and starts emoting on people, doing the hands behind the back thing. And that could be a problem against Strickland, I think. Now let's move on to Sean Strickland. His strengths, he has great cardio. He really weaponizes his cardio in 5-round fights. And he's very defensively sound. He checks kicks well, good boxing defense, and amazing takedown defense. I know he got taken down a few times against Dricus, but he defended a lot of those as well. And he has good teep kicks. Teep kicks to the body, gasses people out, top of the stomach, kind of takes the wind out of you over time. And he has great boxing for the division. Probably the best boxer at middleweight. Maybe Whitaker is better, but he's up there. And he has good wins. He has a win over Adesanya, a close fight with Duplessis. Good chin. Only recent KO loss at middleweight was to Pereira. He got KO'd way back in the day by Zaleski dos Santos, but that was at welterweight. That was a spinning back kick, kind of a perfect strike. And he stays composed in the cage. Strickland is, despite all his crazy stuff outside the cage, he's pretty composed in the cage. He keeps it together. So I don't think he's going to do anything nuts, overextend. Weaknesses, he can be pressured by power punchers like Duplessis and Cannonier. He gets pushed back and he doesn't really have much offense to implement. And he often goes to close decisions. I mean, he's had a close decisions against Duplessis, Cannonier, Amavov, or Manson. Even the Adesanya fight, although he clearly won, it was not like a dominant one-sided fight. It still was a close fight. So he does go to close fights, and that gives the potential for robberies or judges seeing it a different way. And now let's get to my prediction. I think Paulo Costa is going to look really good early on. He's probably going to win the early rounds 1 and 2, and he might hurt Strickland with a big shot, wobble him, maybe even drop him. I doubt it, though. He'll probably hurt him a little bit. I think through this, Strickland will stay defensively sound. He'll backpedal. He'll land pitter-pat shots, kind of just to get significant strikes up on the board. And then in round 3, Costa will start to slow down, and then Strickland will begin to pour on the pressure, start landing jabs, teeps to the body, starting to really gas him out even more and more. And I think Costa might get a little desperate, start trying to mix in takedowns, but I think he's going to fail them. I think Strickland's defense is going to hold up, takedown defense that is. And Strickland's pressure will increase in rounds 4 and 5. Costa's definitely going to be visibly gassed at this point, but he will be in the fight. I think he will be able to hang in there, not get totally dominated. And then I think the fight ultimately will go to decision. I don't see a finish happening for either guy. I think if there is a finish, it's probably Costa by an earlier combo, kind of rocking him and then following up, or a Strickland late round KO, but I don't really see a finish for either guy. I think it might be a split decision, but the judges will ultimately side with Strickland, and it'll be a close fight that most people thought Strickland won. There will probably be a few people out there saying, oh, Costa could have won that, but I think most people will be pretty unanimous on the fact Strickland should have won. So yeah, the aftermath of this fight, I think Strickland will demand a title fight right after. He'll probably call for the winner of Duplessis and Adesanya. He might do that on the mic in his post-fight speech. And he'll probably get the title shot unless Khamzat beats Whitaker. If Khamzat beats Whitaker, I see the UFC favoring Khamzat and wanting to push him to a title fight. And if Adesanya does beat Duplessis in the rumored upcoming fight, Strickland 100% deserves to get a rematch. I mean, he already has a win over Adesanya. A rematch is obvious when he's coming off a win like that. And I think Strickland's going to throw a fit if he doesn't get a title shot. He's already been complaining on Twitter that he didn't get an immediate rematch with Dricus. So if he doesn't get a fight after this, I think he's going to be very pissed off, probably complain a lot. And if Costa loses this, he's going to be 1-4 in his last 5, which is not a very good record. I mean, he's on the verge of being cut at that point. Not really. I think the UFC likes him. They want to keep him around, but it won't look good for his resume, and it'll put him in a tough position. And he'll probably fall out of the top 10. He'll probably be forced to fight like a lower-ranked, up-and-coming guy. Probably either Baralho, Cal Baralho, that is, Michel Pereira, or Anthony Hernandez. But if he wants an easy kind of layup fight, I think he should fight Dolidze. I think that's a very favorable matchup for him, a guy he can beat up on the feet easily and not get taken down by. So if he wants easy money and to get back on the winning track, I think Dolidze would be a good fight for Costa. And I think people will give Costa respect for hanging in there with Strickland. People will still like him. He's not going to become not popular overnight. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a fun fight, a great co-main event for 302, kind of saving the card along with the main event. And yeah, if you like that video, guys, like and subscribe. Comment who you think is going to win this fight down below. I have a community post up where you can vote on who you think is going to win, so check that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.